What's going on, everybody? So as you can tell, probably from the past few videos I've been releasing on this channel, I have stolen the quarterings format as much as I possibly can. And I'm doing it for a very specific reason. It makes money. Yes, I will say the thing that they won't say. I am doing these videos, first and foremost, because they will get me money. You will click on them because they are relevant topics and you want to know what I have to say. I do want to say these things, but I could not, but I will. I'll put in this extra little barest amount of effort, like people like The Quartering do, to try and make money. Because I gotta be honest with you guys, I have student loans. I got student loans. I got like over $40,000 I got to pay off, right? So I'm just gonna be open and honest about it. Why bother with trying to be deceitful? Well, today we're gonna make a quick little video, and we're just going to, and it is because like we were already, me in the chat here. Hello chat. I'm going to stroke you. We're live over here on Twitch, twitch.tv/realjobholiday, and I started telling a story about a little bit of internet history. It's a little bit of drama. It's a little juicy. Ooh. And then I was like, shit, why am I not recording this? Let's just record this. And so, show feet? No, I'm not showing feet. Hey, we're recording a video. Calm down, chat. Calm down. Okay, we're going to talk about the Great Patreon Boycott. Okay, there are two stories about the Great Patreon Boycott. There's the official story, and then there's a story with all the extra stuff that nobody mentions. Okay, so the first official story is this. Long, long ago, in a place far, far away, or some shit like that, Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, is on a live stream with, I think her name is Michelle Caitlin or something like that. And Michelle's a interesting person with some very weird, troubling views. But whatever, they're just having a conversation. Michelle does tend to have quite a large alt-right audience. Okay. They do not like Sargon. In fact, many people really do not like Sargon. Specifically, people who are in Chan culture, Chan board culture, do not like Sargon of Akkad. They usually don't like me either. They don't tend to not like anybody who has kind of like an ego, like an E-fame kind of ego sort of thing. And I'm kind of with you on that one, guys. But anyway. They don't like Sargon, so they are in there and they're hassling him and, you know, trying to shit post on him and be a little mean. And I do not have hobbitish feet. We're not talking about feet right now, guys. I'm trying to tell a story. Do you see what I have to work with here? Do you see what I have to work with here? You guys are fucking me up. Anyway, so they're teasing Sargon. They're fucking with Sargon, and Sargon gets heated. It bothers him, and so he says, effectively, "You guys are being a bunch of white N-bombs. You know how you guys talk about black people, and you call them N-bombs. Well, you're acting like what you think black people act like. You're being a bunch of white N-bombs." Now he says this not on his channel, but on somebody else's channel. And for that, he got mass reported by the alt-right. That's who reported him, because nobody else is watching that fucking stream. And I even saw, like, on a specific Chan board that there was an organized effort with a mass campaign to send in reports to Patreon to get him kicked off. There's a very specific group that tried to get him kicked off. So Patreon then basically notifies Sargon, well, we're going to be deleting your Patreon account. Then, in solidarity, people like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, all these other people, we are going to delete our Patreons in solidarity. And that is where the official story ends. If you listen to Sargon talk about it, at first, the way he was talking about it was, the left, the Silicon Valley left, are the ones who deleted my Patreon. Referencing to Patreon itself and people who would be influenced by that. He later then had to admit that, okay, yeah, it actually was like a coordinated campaign by the alt-right to try and get me shut down. Now, there's a few more things in there, though, that most people don't know. They just don't know. One is Sargon did not really give that much of a shit about trying to get it back. He didn't even try. Didn't even try. And the reason for this is probably because the day that it got turned off and that he started a Subscribe Star, in that one day, in 12 hours, he had over $2,000 in pledges. He was going to be fine. Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, their alternative forms of crowdfunding and whatnot, they were fine. Fine. All these people, fine. But here's the problem. Not everybody was fine. You see, it wasn't just big creators that were deleting their Patreon. It was a boycott. They were calling for a boycott. They wanted everybody to boycott Patreon, including viewers. And so a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, deleted their Patreons, stopped their pledges to the people that they were paying out to. This had an unintended consequence. I say unintended, but really, I just don't think they gave much of a shit. A lot of creators that relied on Patreon for rent couldn't pay rent, because suddenly, in some cases, upwards to 70% of the money that they were getting on Patreon is now gone, because Papa Sargon said that I should delete my Patreon. Sorry about that smaller creator who shares a very specific audience kind of with him, but is much, much smaller. Sucks you can't pay rent, but you know what? This is all about convictions. Now, the one thing that most people don't know as well, even further, is that the very last time that I ever had a conversation with Mr. Avocado, it was me, one other person, and him in a private Skype call. And I brought this up to him, and I told him that his actions by trying to call for a broad Patreon boycott was meaning that people couldn't pay the rent. And he got so mad at me, he screamed at me and hung up. And that was the last time I ever had any conversation with him. But to this day, the effects of the Patreon boycott are still felt. Absolutely. There are quite a few channels, some of which were friends of mine at the time, some of which are friends of mine now, who still have never gotten back up to the amount that they were making on Patreon because of that bullshit boycott. And it wasn't the left that did it. It was a coordinated campaign, and it was all because one fucking dude in England was calling a bunch of racist dudes white N-words. That's why the whole thing happened, man. Isn't that crazy? That's the craziest damn thing. Barely hit me. I think I lost like $60 in total a month, and I made it up right away like that. Like, it didn't affect me, you know, because I had already moved to science videos and shit, and I had divorced myself from the whole political side with my main channel, so it didn't mean anything to me. But yeah, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And here, and you know, this is the thing. This is the thing. A boycott is supposed to be utilizing your money and the collective weight of the other people using their money to enact pressure on something to make them change, or just in protest. I don't like you anymore, so I'm not going to give you my money. Makes sense, right? That's like, and everybody does it too. Maybe some people say it's a form of cancel culture. But everybody does it. All sides do it. All sides do their form of boycotts and shit. But that's the idea that's supposed to come about from it. Patreon is fine. Totally fine. It still exists. People still use it. It's very frustrating to me to hear that the effects of it are still present, and that ultimately Patreon itself was unaffected by and large, because I knew that's exactly what was going to happen. But that's the thing. When it comes to big name celebs, e-celebs and shit, they don't care about the little guy. They don't give a fuck. Everything is there's blinders in, and it's all focused solely on like their own self-aggrandization or their own monetary gain. That's what it's always about. And that's why I'm so critical of YouTubers these days, and so anti fart huffing, you know. Oh yeah, I don't stink. No, not me. Not me. I've retained such a status in my e-society that now I'm somehow above the proles and the plebs. Yeah, no, I can't get behind that kind of shit. I find it utterly reprehensible. But anyway, that's a little story. The more complete, probably not the full complete, but the more complete story of the Patreon boycott back in the day. There's probably a lot more to it as well, but yeah, that's how I understand it from my perspective. I hope you guys are still enjoying me ripping off Jeremy Hambley's format. And you know, if you have video suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. Oh, and try out the Brave browser with my link down below. Those fucking like those little tokens, bat tokens and shit that you can earn from just like passively using the internet. You can send them to people and like they add up pretty good. It's not bad. So yeah. Cheers on that, everybody. Have a good day.